Hi everyone, I am AdLJ, and I will going to present to you the 8.1, which is talks about an exile, heaven or wrath. So let's begin. In tracing the beginning of our civilization, exile means to be away from one's country, being explicitly refused permission to return or being threatened with imprisonment or death upon return. Exile is a form of prolonged absence from one's country imposed by vested authority by punitive measure. It can be form of punishment and solitude. It is common to distinguish between internal exile, which the person forced resettlement within the country of a residence, and the second one, the external exile, where the person is forced deported outside the country of his residence. So, the term exile means as deportation or pagpapatapon ng isang particular na tao sa kanyang lugar or country. It means that a particular person is commanded to get away from his or her originated place or country. And nabanggit ko kanina, it has two types, which is the internal exile, means a deportation of a person within the country, and the external exile, which means deportation or getting away of a particular person to another country or outside the country. People all over the world have a story of exile. Most of them have been famous in this era. So, yung mga babanggitin kong pangalan is sila yung mga example ng mga persons na naka-experience ng exile, which is become famous to our history and to the world. First is Napoleon the First, exiled from France to Elba and later to Santa Elena. The second one is Idi Amin, exiled to Libya and Saudi Arabia until his death. Joseph Brodsky, exiled from Soviet Union to United States. John Calvin, exiled from Switzerland back to France and later back into Switzerland due to change in government. Frederick Chopin, exiled from Poland to France. El Cid, banned from Castle, served another Arabian kings ending with the conquest of Valencia. Dante Alighieri, medieval Italian poet and author of the Divine Comedy. Albert Einstein, self-exiled from Germany to United States, and Sigmund Freud is self-exiled from Austria to United Kingdom, and the last one is Karl Marx, self-exiled from Germany to United Kingdom. In our country, Dr. Rizal, our national hero, is one of a concrete example of the person who experienced exiled. He chose to live in another country, away from his family, just to present the Filipino values to the other country. Moreover, his intent to prove his motherland that she is worth living for. So, as we go back to the history of our national hero, which is Dr. Jose Rizal, he went to different places around the world. One of his reasons is to continue his study and also to promote the Filipino values towards other country, towards foreign country. So, let's talk about, or let's move on to the topic 8.2, which is entitled Jose Rizal's Trial and Martyrdom in Bagong Bayan. A week after the outbreak of Philippine Revolution on September 2, 1896, Jose Rizal left Manila for Spain, going back to Governor General Ramon Blanco's last letter to Rizal. The former approved the letter request to send to Cuba as military doctor. Such as Rizal was going to Spain first before going to Cuba. But even before he reached his first destination, he was arrested by the Spanish authorities on board. jailed in Barcelona, and shipped back to Manila and was jailed in Fort Santiago for the last 3 months of his life. So this statement shows the actual exiles of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. He was arrested at his first destination on Spain, which he was jailed in Barcelona, and after 3 months, he shipped in Fort Santiago. So this was a clear explanation or execution of the exile of a one particular person.
My part will be 8.3 and 8.4. So let's first tackle the 8.3. And it is the rescue attempt by the Katipunan. So on that time, Rizal was in Dapitan, and Pio Valenzuela wanted to help him, Rizal, and by that, Pio Valenzuela has a secret organization in which they plan to sneak Rizal on a ship destined to Japan, and by that, Rizal was not in favor of that since he has made his promise to the Spanish. On 1896, Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, and other Katipuneros, disguise as sailors of a one ship named Motor Caridad, so they can easily penetrate the Cruiser Castilla. I don't know what's Cruiser Castilla. And also to harbor the Manila Bay. After that, Jacinto sneaked on a deck where Rizal is on, that time to rescue Rizal, but Rizal again refused to be rescued by the Katipuneros. After that attempt of rescuing Rizal, in 1896 as well, on that year, Rizal, he himself was not surprised that there will be a revolution after that happenings. Um, September 2, 1896, Rizal went to Spain not knowing that this will be his last travel abroad, and at that night he wrote a letter to Doña Teodora Alonso, which she's or his I don't know if this is her wife, but I think this is his lover. He wrote a letter to him. He wrote a letter to her, to Doña Teodora, a letter of encouragement, saying that be strong, be even though without him, be knowing how to stand as well. And by that, on that travel, Filipinos in Singapore also wanted to save Rizal, headed by Don Manuel Camus. On September 30, during their trouble, the captain of the cruise ship where Rizal was in, received a message or ordering to arrest Rizal. So on October 6, Rizal was transferred into another ship, and he was visited by Eulogio Despujol, the military commander of Catalonia. Same day, on October 6 at 8 o'clock in the evening, Rizal left Barcelona and went back to Manila. Friends of Rizal, also from London, also exerted their effort as much as they wanted to help him. But then, his friends, by the way, are lawyers, and they wrote a letter telling that Rizal should not be executed for what he did, because what he did is right for the country. But unfortunately, their Rizal's friend request was also denied. So November 3, 1896, Rizal arrived in Port Santiago with a heavy security. So by that same year, Rizal was executed in Fort Santiago. But then on 8.4, Rizal's exile in Dapitan makes a good effect during that time. It was the cause of many improvements on that day, and that execution of Rizal brought life, guidance, and happiness to the Filipino. and Rizal was a hero in his own exile.
8.5 The Proceeding Trial. Matapos mabilanggo sa Barcelona, si Rizal ay inutusan ni General Eulogio Despujol o Despujol na ipapadala siya pabalik ng Maynila sa pamamagitan ng sasakyang barko ng Kulyon. Sa barko, sinabi kay Rizal na ang mga pahayagan sa Madrid ay puno ng mga kwento tungkol sa revolusyon sa Pilipinas at sinisisi siya nito. Nakarating sa kanyang mga kaibigan sa Europa at Singapore ang balita tungkol sa kalagayan ni Rizal. Nagpadala sila ng telegrama sa isang abogadong Ingles sa Singapore upang iligtas si Rizal mula sa bapor ng Espanya sa pamamagitan ng isang writ of habeas corpus. Ang writ gayunpaman ay kitinanggihan ni Rizal at si Rizal ay nanatiling bilanggo sa barko. Ang writ ay ginagamit upang dalhin ang isang bilanggo sa harap ng korte upang matukoy kung ang pagkakakulong o detensyon ng tao ay ayon sa batas. Ang kolon ay nakarating sa Maynila noong November 3, 1896 at pagkatapos ay tahimik na inilipat si Rizal sa Fort Santiago kung saan ang iba pang mga kababayan kasama ang kanyang kapatid na si Pasiano ay pinahirapan upang idawit si Rizal. Tumanggi si Pasiano na pumirma sa anumang bagay na maaaring tumutol sa paghatol sa kanyang kapatid. Sa kabila ng kanyang katawan na bali at durog na kamay, ang paunang nagsisiyasat ay ginanap noong November 20, 1896 kasama ng presensya ni Colonel Francisco Olive na kumikilos bilang tagapagtaguyod ng hukom. Ang investigasyon ni Colonel Olive ay tumagal ng 5 araw. Hindi niya pinayagan ang testigo na humarap sa paglilitis o pagdinig. 2 uri ng ebidensya ang iniharap laban kay Rizal na nahahati sa 2, ang dokumentaryo at ang testimonyal. Number 1, a letter from Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce dated October 16, 1888, Madrid. Number 2, a letter of Rizal to his family dated August 20, 1890, Madrid. Number 3, a letter from Marcelo H. del Pilar to Diodato Arellano dated January 7, 1889, Madrid. Number 4, a poem entitled Kundiman allegedly written by Rizal. The verse are written in Tagalog. Number 5, a letter from Carlos Oliver to an unidentified person, September 18, 1891. Number 6, a Masonic document dated February 9, 1892. Number 7, a letter signed Dimasalang to Ten Luz Juan Zulueta dated May 28, 1892, Hong Kong. Number 8, a letter signed Dimasalang to an identified committee dated June 1, 1892, Hong Kong. Number 9, an anonymous and undated letter to the editor of Hong Kong Telegraph. Number 10, a letter of Ildefonso Laurel to Rizal dated September 3, 1892. A letter of Rizal Segundo dated September 17, 1893. A letter to Marcelo H. del Pilar to Juan Zulueta. A transcript of speech of Pinkian Emilio Jacinto in a meeting of Katipunan on July 23, 1893. Transcript of speech Tictol Jose Toriano Santiago during the same Katipunan meeting. And lastly, a poem by Laong Laan, Jose Rizal entitled Talisay. After a preliminary investigation, the Judge Advocate General Don Nicolas de la Peña submitted the following recommendation. The accused be immediately brought to trial. Number 2, he should be kept in prison. Number 3, an order of attachment be issued against his property as an indemnity, and number 4, he should be defended in court by an army officer.
Upon hearing the court's decision, Rizal already knew that there is no way that his destiny would be changed. Rizal knew it was his end and had accepted his fate. Inside the chapel, Rizal busied himself by writing correspondence to his friend and family, bidding everyone farewell and conversing with his Jesuit priest friend. He had a lot of visitors arriving one or two after the another.
nung time po na ano na si Rizal, kasi nung yung martyrdom niya sa Bagong Bayan, malapit na po siyang bitayin nun. And namatay siya sa pamamagitan ng pagbaril sa ulo sa kanya. Bago siya mamatay, ito na yung last na martyrdom niya sa Bagong Bayan, kasi dito na siya malapit ipapatay or i-execute. Tapos hindi niya na binago yung perspective niya na baka makalabas pa siya, kasi tanggap niya na lang, at yung ginawa niya lang, nagsulat na lang siya ng kanyang sulat pamamaalam sa kanyang mga kaibigan, gayon din sa kanyang mga magulang. And nung nasa loob pa siya ng kanyang kulungan, maraming ring nagbisita sa kanya, and una sa mga nagbisita sa kanya is si Father Sadera, or Father Miguel Sadera, Mata Rector of the Ateneo Municipal, arrived in the prison early in the morning. Hindi lang po dahil sa Mata Rector si Father Sadera sa Ateneo kaya sila nagkakilala. Kasi one time, paalis din si Father Sadera ng Pilipinas at papunta siyang Spain. Naging mag-co-passenger sila ni Rizal, kasi nung time din na paalis si Father Sadera is papunta rin si Rizal sa Spain para mag-aral ng medisina. Yung pangalawang visitor po ni Rizal is si Father Luis Visa, came with Father Mata, the priest to whom Rizal asked for the image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which he made during his stay in Ateneo. Ito yung sculpture ni Rizal na ginawa niya nung time na nag-aaral pa po siya sa Ateneo. Si Father Bisa yung nagdala nun. And yung pangatlong nagdalo sa kanya is si Antonio Rosel, another friend of Rizal who gladly ate a fine breakfast with him, returned in the afternoon to resume his talk. Sunod naman, yung pang-apat na pumunta para bumisita sa kanya is si Lieutenant Tabil D. Andrade. Rizal extended his appreciation for Andrade's service in his defense counsel. Kasi si Tabil D. Andrade, siya yung defense counsel ni Rizal. Lawyer, kumbaga, siya yung nagtanggol kay Rizal sa mga charges sa kanya. Alam niyo po ba na sa 100 pangalan na binigay kay Rizal, isa doon si Tabil D. Andrade, at pinili niya si Tabil D. Andrade kasi dati, nung nasa dapitan pa siya, yung kuya ni Tabil D. Andrade yung kanyang naging personal guard. Sunod naman po ay si Father Federico Faura, who had prophesied earlier rather than comically that Rizal would lose his head for writing Dinoli Mitanghere, and later congratulate the priest for being right. Kasi nung hindi pa masyadong sikat yung Noli Mitanghere, parang nag-spread pa lang, sa kanya, nagbitaw ng salita si Father Federico Faura na dahil dyan sa sinulat mo, mamamatay ka or mapupugutan ka ng ulo. And ito nga, nagkatotoo nga, kaya kinongratulate siya ni Rizal. Number 6 naman, si Father Jose Villaclara, Rizal's former teacher and Ateneo, lunch with him. Si Father Villaclara, isa siya sa mga naghatid kay Rizal bago siya ibarilin, bago siya i-execute. Si Father Vicente Vlagur naman, kasama rin siya ni Father Villaclara na kumain ng lunch kasama si Rizal. Si Father Vlagur is pinilit niya rin si Rizal na magbalik loob na sa Katolisismo, pero nagbalik loob naman din si Rizal, pero kasi si Rizal po ay isang Mansuri, meron silang pinaniniwala ang Diyos pero wala silang specific na religion, and pinipilit siya ni Father Vlagur na bumalik na ng Katolisismo. And sunod naman ay si Santiago Matiax, contributor in the Il Heraldo de Madrid. Ito naman po ay si Santiago Matiax ay isang journalist. In-interview niya si Rizal kaya siya pumunta at dumalaw kay Rizal. Sunod naman yung nanay niya po, si Teodora Alonso, Rizal kneeled before his beloved mother, begging for forgiveness and understanding. The mother and son were separated by strong grip of prison guard. Then sunod naman yung na nagdalaw sa kanya ay si Narcisa Trinidad, yung kanyang ate po. Dumating si Narcisa Trinidad pagkatapos pag-alis ni Theodora ng nanay nila. And alam niyo po ba na kay Trinidad ni Rizal binigay yung kanyang last piece. Kasi nung pumunta doon si Trinidad sa kulungan para dalawin si Rizal is may binigay siyang bottle, and para hindi sila maintindihan ng guard, nag-whisper siya si Rizal kay Trinidad para hindi sila maintindihan. In English sabi niya, there is something inside. And indeed, there is something inside nga. Kasi nga, yun yung last piece ni Rizal. Yung mi ultimo adios or last farewell or huling pahimakas. Yun. And alam niyo po ba na si Narcisa Trinidad, siya rin, kasi nung namatay na si Rizal, is nilibing lang siya basta-basta. Hindi na siya nilagay sa kabaong, nilibing na siya basta-basta. And si Trinidad po yung nakahanap, si Narcisa Trinidad yung nakahanap ng bangkay ni Rizal at binigyan niya si Rizal ng maayos na libing at saka ng maayos na libingan. Tapos 11 naman si Gaspar Castaño, fiscal of the local audiensya, had a good conversation with Rizal. On December 26, the record of the case were handed over to Governor General Ramon Blanco, who appointed the Captain Rafael Dominguez as special judge advocate. The information of charges was later formally read to Rizal in his prison cell. He was accused of being the principal organizer and the living soul of the Filipino insurrection, the founder of society, periodicals, and books dedicated to fermenting and propagating ideas of rebellion. Rizal raised no objection to these charges. However, he pleaded not guilty to the crime of rebellion. Kasi si Rizal is, kasi di ba nung sinulat niya yung No Limitang Hire, doon na nagkaroon ng enlightenment yung mga Pilipino na hindi pala sila malaya, na yung hawak pala sila ng mga Spanish na hindi sila pinapahalagahan. Kaya nung sinulat ni Rizal yung No Limitang Hire, natauhan sila. And palagay ng mga Spanish, dahilan si Rizal kung bakit nagrebellion yung mga Pilipino. Kaya, gusto nilang ipapatay si Rizal. Gusto na nilang makulong si Rizal at mamatay. Kasi nga, dahil sa kanya, yung mga Pilipino nag-rebellion. And yun yung mga binibintang na charges sa kanya, katulad ng pinasa ko kanina. Pero, si Rizal is nag-plead pa rin ng not guilty. On December 8, Dr. Rizal was given the chance to choose one among the army officer from the list that can be defender on or his counsel on the court or proceeding. He chose the brother of his friend, Lieutenant Luis Tabil de Andrade, to become his trial lawyer. Katulad nga ng sabi ko kanina, si Rizal, binigyan siya ng 100 name. Ng 100 name ng mga army officer para pumili siya dun ng isang magde-depend sa kanya. And isa lang nga yung nag-rise sa 100 name na nasa listahan. Yun lang si Lieutenant Luis Tabil de Andrade, kasi kaibigan yun ng kanya personal guard nung nasa dapitan pa siya. Kaya may tiwala siya kay Lieutenant Andrade. Rizal spent his last 24 hours in his death cell, where he received members of his family and wrote his letter of farewell, as labeled for his family and for his friend that he considered as his second brother, Ferdinand Blumentritt. Si Ferdinand Blumentritt is kaibigan siya ni Rizal at tinuturing na rin siyang kapatid ni Rizal, second brother. Kasi ito, si Ferdinand Blumentritt, dati yan, sinusulat pa lang ni Rizal yung yung kanyang no limit tangere, against talaga si Ferdinand Blumentritt doon. Kasi nga, alam niya na mamamatay si Rizal. Pero, dahil kaibigan niya si Rizal, tinulungan niya si Rizal na ma-publish yung book niya. And alam nyo ba na sa pangalawang book ni Rizal, si Ferdinand Blumentritt, siya yung nag-translate ng, nagsulat ng Sofex ba yan? Basta yung unang page ng book na para nag-i-introduce na kung anong nilalaman, siya yung nagsulat nun. And translate niya pa, siya rin yung nag-translate ng book ni Rizal into German. Rizal was given a few minutes to rebut on the accusation or charges, read and replied. Binigyan siya ng ilang minuto para patunayan na hindi siya guilty. Pero, number 1, he doesn't question the jurisdiction of the court. Number 2, he has nothing to amend except that during his exile in Dapitan, in 1892, he had not dealt in political matters. Kasi nga, yung nasa Dapitan pa siya, wala siya naging problema doon sa Dapitan. Kasi nung nasa Dapitan siya, nagpatayo pa siya ng hospital, schools, and bumili siya ng sarili niyang bahay. Tinuruan niya pa yung mga tao doon. May ginawa pa siya, diba, na POM. And yun na nga, wala siyang binago sa mga sa kanya, in-charge sa kanya, tinanggap niya lang yun. Pero, niya na kahit isang beses hindi siya nakisama sa kahit anong political matters sa Dapitan. Number 3, he has nothing to admit on the charges against him. And number 4, he had nothing to admit in the declaration of the witnesses. He had not met nor knew against him. Kasi si Rizal, maraming nag-witness sa kanya, pero kahit isang beses hindi niya nakausap, hindi niya kilala, hindi niya alam kung bakit sila against sa kanya, pero wala rin siyang magagawa. On December 13, Governor General Ramon Blanco was replaced by Governor General Camilo G. D. Polavega, a more ruthless character, as Governor General of the Philippines. Captain Rafael Dominguez, as a special judge advocate, submitted the paper of Rizal to the Malacanang. On December 15, Rizal wrote a manifesto in his prison cell at Fort Santiago, appealing to his people to stop the unnecessary shedding of blood and to achieve their liberties by means of education and industry. General de la Peña, however, recommended to his newly installed Governor General Polavega the manifesto to be suppressed, thus it was never issued to the people. Kasi no time na kulong si Rizal doon sa yung naka-exile pa siya doon sa Bagong Bayan, yung mga tao, kasi nga maraming gustong magligtas sa kanya, nagpapatayan sila. Pero imbis na sabi ni Rizal, nagsulat siya ng manifesto or ng declaration paper na itigil nyo na lang yan. Imbis na maglabanan kayo, maubos yung mga dugo nyo at mamatay kayo, mag-aral na lang kayo. Tapos, palaguin yung industry natin. Yun na lang. Pero, itong si General de la Peña, pinigilan niya. Sinabihan niya yung bagong Governor General ng Pilipinas, napigilan mo yung manifesto ni Rizal, huwag mo iparating sa tao. Kaya hindi nakarating sa tao yung manifesto na yun ni Rizal. Rizal considered this December 25th the saddest Christmas ever away from family and friends. On December 26, 1896, at the Cuartel de España, the trial of Rizal held in the Spanish military court composed of alien army officer, prosecutor Lieutenant Enrique de Alcocer. Prosecutor Alcocer recognized the presence of the witness of Dr. Jose Rizal. He had given an ample time to prepare and presented the testimony. On said hearing, Pio Valenzuela pleaded was granted to present his testimony and manifest stated the following statement. Si Pio Valenzuela, siya yung nag-testimony kay Rizal para mapawalang sala si Rizal. Una niyang sinabi or unang statement na binitawan niya as his testimony is he had not, para to kay Rizal, he had not written a letter addressed to the Katipunan comprising revolutionary element. Kasi nga, di ba pinipilit nila na mga Spanish na si Rizal ay siya yung leader ng Katipunan. Siya yung dahilan kung bakit nag-revolutionize yung tao. Pero sabi ni Pio Valenzuela, kahit isang beses, hindi daw siya nagsulat ng letter na naka-address sa Katipunan. Number 2, without his knowledge, his name was used by the Katipunan. If he really was guilty, he could have escaped while he was in Singapore. Naalala niyo yung report nakaraan ng last group na nag-report, yung group 7 is, di ba si Rizal, no, sumakay siya ng barko and dumaan pa sila sa Singapore. And doon sa Singapore, nakatanggap na siya ng, nalaman niya na, parang inano na sa kanya, sinabi na sa kanya na huhulihin siya pagdating niya ng Spain, pero tumuloy pa rin siya. Yun yung sinasabi ni Pio Valenzuela, kasi kung talagang may kasalanan siya, dapat doon pa lang hindi na siya pumunta, kasi nga alam niya may kasalanan siya, pero tumuloy pa rin siya kasi nga he was a man of his word. Na kaya lang siya siguro na dinidiin kasi ginamit ng Katipunan yung pangalan niya na hindi niya alam. And number 3, if he was guilty, he should have left the country while in exile. More so, he shouldn't have built home, bought parcel of land, establish a hospital in Dapitan. Yun na nga, kasi nung nasa Dapitan siya, hindi siya yung nakakulong talaga na as in na doon lang dapat siya sa selda na yun, ganun, hindi. Kasi nung na-exile siya sa Dapitan is nakakalabas-labas pa siya, nakakatulong pa nga siya sa tao, nagpagawa pa siya ng school, dormitories, and ng hospital. Tumulong pa siya sa mga tao. Kaya paano guilty daw siya? Number 4, if he was really the leader of revolution, the revolutionists should have consulted him. Oh, kasi 'di ba? Kung siya yung leader or siya yung nagpasimula noon, hindi dapat nag-uusap-usap sila, nagatipon-tipon sila, dapat tinatanong siya ng mga revolutionists. Pero kahit isang tao, walang nagdalaw sa kanya na galing sa nakatipunero. Number 5, he did not deny that he wrote the bylaws of the La Liga Pilipina. But to make things clear, the organization was a civic association and not a revolutionary society. And yun na nga, kasi si Rizal, isa siya sa mga founder ng La Liga Pilipina and siya yung nagsulat ng laws doon. Pero, yung La Liga Pilipina kasi noon, nung time na yun, siya, organization siya ng mga taong mayroong pare-parehas na interes. Sila yung mga tao na mahilig magsulat, yung parang ganon. Kaya hindi siya revolutionary, kasi open naman siya sa tao. Alam naman ng tao na nag-exist yung association na yun, unlike yung Katipunan. And number 6, after the first meeting of La Liga Pilipina, the organization vanished because of his exile in Dapitan that did not last long. And nung na-exile na siya sa Dapitan, yung La Liga Pilipina na binuo nila is na-vanish. Nawala lang bigla kasi nga dahil sa na-exile nga siya. Tapos, sa number 7 naman, if the La Liga Pilipina was reorganized 9 months later, he had no idea about it. Kasi nga, na-reorganize ulit yung La Liga Pilipina, pero hindi na siya yung nag-reorganize noon. Si Andres Bonifacio na. And 9 months later na yon, nakakulong na siya. Ay, ongoing na yung trial niya, hindi niya na yun alam. And number 8, if the La Liga Pilipina had a revolutionary purpose, then the Katipunan should not have been organized. Kasi nga kung may La Liga Pilipina na, bakit may Katipunan pa? Bakit magkahiwalay pa? Kung may La Liga Pilipina na revolutionary society din, di ba? And number 9, if the Spanish authorities found this letter having bitter atmosphere, it was because in 1890, his family was being persecuted, resulting to their disposition of the properties and deportation of all his brother-in-law. Kasi nung time na, nung 1890, sila Rizal, pinaalis yung tatay niya, yung mga brother-in-law niya sa Dapitan, ay sa Kalamba. Dahil sa leader doon, kasi nga may away sa lupa, kaya yon pinaalis sila. Pero nilaban yun ni Rizal at nakabalik naman ulit yung pamilya niya doon sa Kalamba. And number 10, he lived an exemplary life in Dapitan. The military commanders and missionary priests in the province could attest that. Talagang maano talaga yung buhay niya sa Dapitan. Wala talaga siya naging political matter na sinalihan sa Dapitan. Ayos talaga yung buhay niya doon, tumutulong siya sa tao, siya yung teacher, inventor, di ba? Nabanggit yun sa nakaraang reporting. And number 11, if according to the witness, the speech he delivered at Doroteo on Junco's house had inspired a revolution, then he want to confront this person. If he really was a revolutionist, then why did the Katipunan send an unfamiliar emissary to him in Dapitan? If it's so, because all his friends were aware that Rizal never advocated violence. Kasi nga, nung time na nasa Dapitan siya, may sinad na tao sa kanya yung Katipunan, and yun si Pio Valenzuela, kaya alam niya na nagsabi siya kay Rizal na maglo-launch sila ng kanilang tawag dito, ng rebellion, pero pinigilan yun ni Rizal. Kaya paano siya yun? Tsaka yung speech niya doon, yung sa Onjongko's Doroteo House. Alam din ng mga friend ni Rizal no, nasa Dapitan pa siya, na kahit isang beses talaga hindi siya nag-advocate ng violence. Kasi nga, diba, kahit sa atin ngayon, kilala natin siya as warrior who fight using his pen. Kahit na totoo lahat ng sinasabi ni Pio Valenzuela, wala pa din kasi nilalaban pa rin ng prosecution na bigyan siya ng life imprisonment or death penalty. On December 28, despite all the valid pleadings, the military court vindicted as it was anonymously voted for sentence of death. Governor General Polebeja affirmed the decision of the court-martial and ordered Rizal to be shot at 7 a.m. in the morning of December 30, 1896 at Bagumbayan Field. And kahit nga yung laban nila, wala pa rin nagawa kasi namatay pa rin siya.
So the pronouncement of Governor General Polebeja was executory on the basis and found during the trial presentation of the testimonies. So the Guardia Civil was tasked to promulgate the imposed verdict. So who is Governor General Polebeja in Rizal's life? So he is Camilo Garcia de Polebeja y del Castillo Negrete. So, first Marquess of Polebeja, 1838 to 1914. So he was a Spanish general born in Madrid on July 13, 1838, in a family of merchants. So he was an able commander but considered as brutal as Valeriano Weyler of Cuba. So the Governor General when Rizal's case is going on was Ramon Blanco. So this is the schedules prior to the last journey of Dr. Jose Rizal's life as follows. So on December 29, 6 a.m., Rizal was read his verdict by Captain Rafael Dominguez, which is to be shot the next day at 7 a.m. at the Luneta de Bagumbayan. So it is the Rizal part. So on December 29, 7 a.m., Rizal was transferred to the chapel cell and visited by Jesus Christ, Father Miguel Sadera Mata, and Luis Vesa. So, they encourage him to go back to the Catholic fold. So, on December 29, 7:15 a.m., when Rizal was asked by Father Visa to bless, uh, no, r- rather, Rizal asked Father Visa to bless the statute he carved when he was an Ateneo student. It was a Sacred Heart statute. So on December 29, 8 a.m., Rizal's breakfast and joined by Father Antonio Rizal and Luis Tavel de Andrade joined them. So on December 29, 9 a.m., Father Faura came and tell Rizal that he would lose his head for writing the No Limit Tangheri, and Rizal just told him that Father, you are indeed a prophet. So on December 29, 8 at 10 a.m., some of Spanish journalists came and interviewed Rizal. So with Father Jose Villa Clara and Stanislao March. So the journalist was Santiago Matrix of Heraldo de Madrid. So on December 29, 12 a.m. to 3:30, it is Rizal's time alone, and he wrote his last poem, which is my last farewell. So my last farewell has 14 stanzas. So in each stanzas, there is interpretations, and Rizal already praised the revolutionaries in the battlefield, um, for giving their lives, which is the without doubt, without gloom.
Good day po, Ma'am Venus Badilla and classmates. I hope everyone has already eaten their merienda or tanghalian. So before I start my report, let me introduce myself. I am Mary Jane Kahela Mampawa from Group 8. So for today's video, charot, so we're now going on to our lesson, which is the 8.8, My Last Farewell, Mi Ultimo Adios, and Rizal's Life, Exile, Trial, and Execution, Module 8. So, here, going back on December 28, 1896, pinirmahan na ni Governor Camilo G.D. Podavieja yung death warrant ni Rizal. It was stated there that Rizal will be shot at 7 o'clock in the morning at Bagong Bayan. Ayan nga, ang mga Guardia Sibil, sila yung inatasan na ipahayag ang ipinataw na hatol para kay Rizal. So the last favor of Rizal was to have his family with him for the last time. After niyang marinig yung punishment, Rizal went to the present chapel. Okay, nag-request din siya ng makasama niya yung former professors niya sa Ateneo. Among his visitors were Father Miguel Sadera Mata, the rector of Ateneo Municipal, and Father Luis Visa. Dala-dala ni Father Visa yung image of Sacred Heart of Jesus na gawa mismo ni Rizal nung siya ay nag-aaral pa sa Ateneo. So other visitors was Father Antonio Rizal na kasabayan niya mag-breakfast, Lieutenant Luis Taviel Andrade also arrived, and Rizal thanked him kasi nga siya yung nag-serve as his lawyer during his trial. And Father Balaguer also visited, and he remained with Rizal around noon. So nung si Rizal ay hindi binabantayan ng mga Spanish guard, naisulat niya ang kanyang kahuli-hulihang literary work, The Mi Ultimo Adios, or My Last Farewell. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Father Balaguer returned and tried to persuade Rizal to retract his Masonic belief. But Rizal remained firm. So ito na naman, bumalik na naman yung mga pare para i-convince si Rizal na mag-retract at bawiin lahat ng kanyang mga ginawa. So, the Mi Ultimo Adios or My Last Farewell, December 29, 1896, this poem is considered as a priceless gem of the Philippine literature. Mi Ultimo Adios could be the most translated poem in the world. Presently, it has been translated to 40 languages, dialects. So the languages are Bengali, Bulgarian, Burmese, Chinese, Czech, Danish, Dutch, English, Pidgin, Filipino, French, German, Greek, Hawaiian, Hebreo, Hindi, Hungarian, Igbo, Indonesian, Romanian, Russian, Sanskrit, Sinhalese, Somali, Tahitian, Thai, Tungan, Turkish, Urdu, Vietnamese, Wolof, and Yoruba. So 8.9, brief explanation, My Last Farewell, or the Mi Ultimo Adios. The poem shows Rizal's thoughts and sentiments in the time of trial and execution. The succeeding are the interpretation to each stanza. So sa first stanza, he expresses of sacrifices for and goodbye to his motherland, ang kanyang pamamaalam. So sa second stanza, he deals with martyrdom and his service for the country by offering his life. Kung paano siya nagserbisyo para sa kanyang bansa at sa kanyang pagbibigay or pagsasakripisyo sa kanyang buhay. So sa third stanza, he talks about his death, final end. So dito, pinag-usapan or sinasabi ni Rizal ang kanyang katapusan o ang kanyang kamatayan. So, sa fourth stanza, he presents vision that is to see the Philippines free and develop. So dito, present niya yung kanyang vision, like for future, na makita yung isang Pilipinas or makita yung bansang Pilipinas na malaya at bansang maunlad. So sa fifth stanza, dito, he go back to his death. He declares that it is his desire to die for the sake of the country. So dito, dineclare niya yung kanyang pagnanasa na mamatay para sa kanyang bansa. So sa sixth stanza, he desires that his country also shows love for him by offering flower on his tomb. So dito, ninanasa niya na makita or ang kanyang bansa na ipakita ang pagmamahal kay Rizal sa pamamagitan ng pag-alay ng bulaklak sa kanyang libingan. Sa seventh stanza, he requests for a proper burial. Nais niyang mabigyan ng maayos na libing. Sa eighth stanza, he urges the country to offer prayer for him and his rest in God, na ipinalangin siya ng kanyang bansa na kapiling ang Diyos. Sa ninth stanza, he requests for prayers for others, those people who died, and for those mothers who mourn. So si Rizal hindi siya makasarili. So kasi dito sa ninth stanza, hiniling niya na ipagdasal din yung iba, yung mga taong namatay, at para sa mga ina nagdadalamhati. So, here in 10th stanza, he mentions that the dead are forgotten. So, dito sa pang-10 stanza, sinabi niya na ang mga patay ay nakalimutan. So, 11th stanza to 12th stanza, gayunpaman ang mga patay ay nakalimutan, umaasa si Rizal na ang kanyang spirit ay manatiling patuloy na mabuhay. So here in 13th stanza, he expresses farewell to his loved ones. He also discusses heaven, a place where no slave and oppressor and there is only one almighty creator. So dito sa 13th stanza, dito ipinakita or isinulat ni Rizal yung kanyang pagmamahal sa kanyang mahal sa buhay. And dito, diniscuss niya rin yung heaven, na ito ay isang lugar na walang inaapi at walang mang-aapi. And yung meron lang doon is the only one almighty creator, ang Panginoong Diyos. So sa 14th stanza, so finally, he said that the dead is rest. All people die. Here, he shows us the thoughts and the sentiments. So finally, sinabi niya na ang kamatayan ay pahinga. All people die. Lahat ng tao ay may hangganan. So, going back, pagkalis ni Father Balaguer, dumating ang kanyang nanay Theodora at mga kapatid. Rizal began giving out souvenirs. Yung binigay niyang souvenir kay Trinidad ay isang alcohol stove and may binulong siya kay Trinidad na ang sabi niya ay, "There's something inside." And ano kaya yung laman ng stove na yun? He also told to Trinidad to look inside his shoes after his executions. Okay, ano ba yung laman ng alcohol stove na binigay ni Rizal kay Trinidad? It's a piece of paper that contains a poem or tula which is known, Mi Ultimo Adios. Yun yung kahuli-hulihang literary work na isinulat ni Jose Rizal bago siya patayin. So sinabi ko na rin ito kanina. Actually, according to historians, wala naman daw title itong last literary work ni Rizal. Saka lang daw ito nabigyan ng title after mabasa ng mga tao. Maybe his family or close friends. However, nakalagay dito sa module na sinasabi dito na later Mariana Dacanay, a Filipino press, entitled the poem Ultimo Adios. At na-publish ito in La Independencia of Antonio Luna on September 25, 1898. So after his family left, Father Jose Villaclara and Balaguer again arrived to convince Rizal to retract. Okay, nabawiin niya yung kanyang mga ginawa. So by 8 in the evening, Father Balaguer returned with Father Riza and again talked with Rizal on religious matters. At this point, they were joined by Fiscal Gaspar Castañano of the Royal Audiencia. At around 10 o'clock, may dumating na draft of retraction from Archbishop Fernandino Nozaleda. And Rizal rejected it because it was too long. Napakahaba raw ng nilalaman ng document. Father Balaguer showed another draft of retraction to Rizal and this was made by Father Pio P., the superior of the Jesuit mission in the Philippines, na nagustuhan naman daw ni Rizal yung gawa ni Father Pio P. but he wanted some changes. So at 11:30, Rizal signed his retraction from the Freemasonry and it was witnessed by Juan del Fresno, the chief of the guard detail and the adjutant of the Plaza Ilroy Mauri. After signing, Rizal had confession with Father Villaclara and rested afterwards. So, but take note, let me emphasize this one. The retraction of Rizal is still unclear. Even up to this time, walang makapagsabi kung totoo nga bang binawi ni Rizal lahat ng sinabi niya at ginawa niya against Spanish government and Spanish friars. So, yung marriage ni Rizal with Josephine Bracken na nagsasabing kinasal ba sila sa simbahan, may basbas ba ng pare o wala, ay issue din up until now. So, dahil doon na rin papasok yung retraction of Rizal, kasi kung talaga naman daw nag-retract si Rizal at binawi niya lahat ng ginawa niya, lahat ng sinulat niya, especially yung novel niya na Noli at Elfeli, Then, pumapayag na ikasal sila sa simbahan, pero kung hindi naman daw kinasal sa simbahan at walang basbas ng pari si Josephine at Rizal, therefore, binawi ni Rizal yung kanyang mga ginawa o yung mga sinabi niya tungkol sa church. Okay? At yung mahirap kasi dito ay nagkaroon ng falsifikasyon daw. Okay? Piniki daw yung pirma ni Rizal doon sa document ng retraction. And so until now, wala pa rin specific reason. Wala pa rin kasagutan kung talaga bang nag-retract si Rizal or hindi. So moving on at 5 a.m. Rizal had his last breakfast, autographed his remaining books, which became his last souvenirs. Dumating ang kanyang asawa, Josephine Bracken, kasama si Narcisa na kanyang kapatid. He requested a marriage to Josephine Bracken. It was Father Balaguer who performed the marriage rites of Rizal and Josephine. After the marriage, may iniregalo si Rizal kay Josephine Bracken. Rizal gave a book to Josephine, Imitasyon ni Cristo, To My Dear and Unhappy Wife, by Thomas Campis, which he autographed. And yung nabanggit ko kanina regarding doon sa marriage ni Rizal at Josephine ay hindi din clear kung nabasbasan sila ng pari o nabasbasan sila sa harap ng altar o hindi. Afterwards, he wrote 3 farewell letters to parents, Dr. Blumentritt, and Pasiano. Of course, binigyan niya ang kanyang parents at ang kanyang best friend na si Dr. Blumentritt at ang kanyang kuya na si Pasiano. At around 6:30, Rizal was taken from cell and the march to Bagong Bayan began. He was elegantly dressed in black, and his arms were tied from elbow to elbow. He had his small black rosary in his right arm. He put on his black hat. After naman ng march, a colonel took Rizal to the site of his execution. Nung naidala na si Rizal sa site of execution, may mga drums na naka-ready. Just in case. Just in case na magsalita si Rizal, papainayin nila yung mga drums. Just in case Rizal would like to address the crowd. So, ayun. Rizal had requesting the firing squad to spare his head, which was granted. He also requested to be shot at his front, but it was denied. Gusto niya na barilin siya na nakaharap sa mga tao, na nakaharap dun sa mga babaril sa kanya. Yun nga lang, hindi siya pinayagan. Rizal protested that he was not a traitor sa Spain. After that moment, may isang priest na nag-bless kay Rizal, and a medical officer, Dr. Felipe Ruiz Castillo, took Rizal's pulse and found that it was normal. So ayun, nagulat lang din yung doktor na hindi kinakabahan si Rizal. Normal yung pulse rate niya knowing na papatayin siya. Ano yung huling salitang binanggit ni Rizal bago siya barilin? Okay, it was consummatum est. In English, it means it is end. It is finished. Natapos na. At ito ay galing din sa huling salita na nabanggit ni Jesus Christ nung siya ay namatay. So the commanding officer ordered his men to aim by means of his saber, and there was a simultaneous crack of gunfire, and Rizal made one last effort to drop on his back with his face facing the sun. After ng pagbabaril kay Rizal, may isang medical officer na lumapit sa kanya, okay? And na-feel niya pa rin yung pulse ni Rizal. And buhay pa nga si Rizal. And then, may isang member ng firing squad na bumaril ulit kay Rizal, and that it was confirmed that Rizal is dead. Lahat ng Spanish na nandoon ay nagsigawan, nagsaya. They shouted, "Viva España!" or "Long live España!" The military band played Marcha de Cadiz. For the Spaniards, Rizal was a traitor. But Spain made Rizal martyr for the Filipinos. Ito ha, just a trivia. Hindi mga Spanish Army ang bumaril kay Rizal, okay? Mga Pilipinong sundalo lang din. Kaya lang, ang nangyari kasi, ang set-up nung time na ito, sa likod ng mga Filipino armies, ay meron ding mga nakatutok na baril ng mga Spaniards o mga Spanish Army. So kung hindi nila babarilin si Rizal, sila naman yung mamamatay. So ganun ang setup. So the precious moment of his life. The execution of Rizal stirred emotion all over the world. The newspapers, which otherwise hardly took notice of this distant country, reported about the execution. The international prestige of the Spanish colonialism, already discredited, suffered a heavy blow. Indeed, in the Philippines itself, the death of the man who for millions of people had been the embodiment of uprightness, of tolerance, of kindness, and helpfulness, but above all, of liberalism, of freedom and independence, had the effect of a beacon. Thousands of those who hesitated, who were undecided, who were afraid perceived the death of Rizal as a mute call to join up with the revolutionaries whose ranks swelled in the weeks and months that followed. So after ng kanyang execution, Rizal's body was secretly buried at Paco Cemetery, where later it was traced by his sister Narcisa. 2 araw naghanap si Narcisa para sa labi ng kanyang kapatid. Kasi nga, di nila mahanap. Yung huling bilin ni Rizal kay Trinidad na mayroon siyang iniligay na something sa kanyang sapatos ay bigla rin nawala. The remains of Rizal were cleaned and in Higino Mercado's house and in Binondo and were given to Doña Teodora. Saan na nga ba natin makikita ang labi ni Rizal? His remains were laid to rest inside the Rizal Monument in Luneta. But hindi lahat ng parte ng katawan ni Rizal ay nandoon. So may part doon na hindi sinama, ang kanyang vertebrae, at ito ay nasa Rizal Shrines, Calamba. The Philippine government declared December 30 as the National Heroes Day, commemorating the heroism of Dr. Jose Portasio Rizal Mercado y Alonzo Rialonda. Long live Filipinas! That would be all from our report. Thank you for listening. God bless.